All right, guys. So I just finished the rinascita story quest, and man, this is how you're supposed to execute a story. Now, I'm not gonna go over every single bit of the story because this isn't a waste of y'all time. So I just want to summarize everything as much as possible for you guys. And of course, I'm gonna show you guys some clips of the story. I did record some footage, but my dumbass deleted it. So fucking mad because of that. But I'm gonna show you guys some clips. I'll find some clips on YouTube. But man, this story was fucking amazing. Like, this is how you're supposed to execute a story in an open world gacha game. This is the way to do it. Because one of the main issues when it comes to open world gacha games, like for example Genshin Impact, no skip button and unnecessary dialogue. But the great thing about Rinascita is that yes, Wuthering Waves has a skip button, but at the same time, when I went through this story quest, I didn't feel the need to even use the skip button because every single character stayed on topic. Everybody talked about the main story, the main plot. Whenever you're talking to Zani, you're talking to Carlotta, right? They're talking about the main plot. They're always talking about the main plot. They're not talking about what they ate last night, what they ate the other day, because no, nobody fucking asked and nobody cared. So the fact that they're sticking to the main plot, they're sticking to the story. That's how you execute a story, and that is peak storytelling. So let's talk about the first part of the story. So if you guys were to ask me what is the first part of the story, I will say the first part starts when you enter the region, and the ending of the first part is when you and Carlotta, you both figure out the truth of what's going on in this region. You guys figure out who the maiden is, or who the yeah, the maiden is pretty much like the resonator for the Sentinel. You pretty much figure out the plan that the Order is going to execute in the Carnival. That was part one, right? So let's talk about it. When it comes to part one, I will say part one, you're mostly learning about the region. You have Zani, who's pretty much like your she's touring you. She's giving you like she's like your guide. She's walking along with you, helping you understand the region, what's going on, the Sentinel. She's pretty much your bodyguard. That's Zani. And I will say she did a great job. She didn't do a lot of yapping. She got straight to the fucking point. And that's the main reason why the storytelling in this quest is so good, because the way that they executed us learning about this region is perfect. Because whenever we entered a new region, let's say in Genshin Impact, for example, it would just be, oh, when you enter this new region, we're going to explain to you guys what's going on, but at the same time, we're going to make you do something else. Like, we're going to make you do a side quest that doesn't really correlate with the main quest. That was one of the main issues with Genshin, especially in Natlan. Natlan is a fucking joke. But when it comes to this region, it's like, okay, you enter this region, they don't make you do a side quest that has nothing to do with the main plot. You're sticking to the main plot the entire time. Everything you're doing is in the main plot because we're doing the main story quest. So why are we doing side quests while we're in the main story quest? You see what I'm saying? So the fact that everything ties together, the Montelli family, the Order, the Fraxidus, the Sentinel, the Maiden, everything ties together. And the way that they concluded the story quest, it was just perfect. It was perfect because I was able to understand what was going on. And I told you guys, I wasn't too familiar with Wuthering Waves story, but after playing Renacita, I literally understand what's going on. Like, I literally understand everything. And another thing I want to point out is while you're progressing in the story, you are also exploring the region of Rinascita, like you're unlocking teleport waypoints. Because let's say there's an objective in one location, but in this location, you haven't unlocked it yet. And you have to go to like a resonance beacon to pretty much get coverage of that location, that area, and you can see what's going on. That's really good because while you're going to that objective, you are pretty much exploring the region, getting chests, getting rewards, fighting enemies, and once you reach there, boom, you got your teleport beacon, and you not teleport beacon, resonance beacon, and you pretty much have coverage of that entire area. So while you're progressing in the story, you are exploring the region at the same time, which is really good. And while you're exploring, you're getting rewards. So it's like you feel very, it's like you're overwhelmed. It's like I felt overwhelmed because there were so many things going on, but it was a good thing because while I'm going through the story, I'm getting rewards, right? I'm getting rewards and I'm also appreciating the visuals. Like there were a lot of moments in the story where like I would be on top of a mountain and then I would just see the entire region, rinascita. And I'm like, damn, bro, this region is beautiful. And I would just take a picture. You know what I'm saying? That just shows that while you're progressing in the story, they want you to also appreciate the region, and they did an amazing job. The visuals, the effects, the saturation of the region is really, really nice. There are just so many locations where like you have this castle where like it's like yellow trees and then the sky is gold. It just looks amazing. And while you're experiencing this region, like while you're experiencing these amazing shots of the region, you're pretty much talking with characters like Carlotta, Zani, etc. It's just really, really nice. Now let's go ahead and talk about part two. So part one, once again, you're pretty much chilling, vibing, understanding what's going on in Rinascita, the main plot. And then for part two, you're pretty much coming up with like you and the characters Rover, Carlotta, Brant, Rocha, all these characters, they're pretty much creating a plan to, you know, defeat Fraxidus, the Fraxidus or whatever, and the Order. That's pretty much part two, the climax. And it was perfect. It was amazing. It was amazing. There was this one part where we were fighting this dragon, right? We were fighting this dragon, and the lore for that section was actually pretty interesting. And it was actually set at the same time because when you first enter the region, you have the pilgrimage. You have these people boarding a ship, you have these people getting on this ship, you don't know what's gonna happen to them, right? And we just pretty wait, we didn't really go back to that until this part of the story where we fight this dragon. And the truth is that the order, they're pretty much sending these people, like they're pretty much exiling these people, banning them from Rinascita, and they're doing this to like I don't know, keep their secret or whatever. And these people believe that if they do this, they're gonna talk to the Sentinel, but in reality, they're gonna face this dragon and they're gonna fucking die, which is honestly sad. So that part was very interesting. We fought this dragon; it was really dope, and yeah, that section was really interesting. Like I will say that section was one of my favorite parts. But we go to like this little hideout. I don't think it's a hideout, but we go to this place that Brant takes us. We're pretty much playing a performance that we're going to do in the city. And once we get this performance down, man, the performance was peak. The way that they executed the performance, if you guys played it in immersion mode, completely different experience. It was really, really good. And we also have Florva. She's pretty much like, I think she's the leader of the Fraxidus. I might be wrong here, but we're fighting Florva. And let's talk about the final boss. That felt like a final boss. All right, that felt like a final boss, and it was satisfying. Now, of course, whenever you're fighting a boss in like an open world gacha game, it's always going to be easy because they don't want you to be hard stuck in the boss in the story. That's not going to be good because you won't be able to complete the story. So I will say the difficulty for the hard boss, not for the hard boss, but the difficulty for the boss in the story, it was easy. But the boss pretty much had like three phases: one phase, second phase, third phase. Third phase was the best phase, obviously, because it was the final phase. The music, the effects, the visuals, absolute cinema, absolute cinema. And the fact that they let you use Carlotta too, it was really good. Like the reason why they let us use Carlotta is because they know that her gameplay is peak. They know that she has like the best gameplay in the game, and she does. Like her gameplay is amazing. So the final boss felt really, really good. When I fought the final boss, I didn't die at all. It was easy. I will say the final boss, he was kind of whipping my ass at some parts. Like I would say for like 10 seconds, he was just doing insane combos. But after that, I locked in and I destroyed this boss. And it was in immersion mode as well. I wish I had the damn recording, man, but I deleted that shit. It pisses me off. But I had it in immersion mode. It's annoying. I'm gonna try to fight the boss again and put it in immersion mode for you guys. Hopefully, turns out good. But that final boss felt really, really good, and it was satisfying, you know. And I believe if you're playing an open world gacha game, if you're going through the story, if the conclusion for a specific arc is trash, then the whole story, the whole chapter is trash. If the conclusion is ass, the whole story is ass, because everything that we did in part one was for the conclusion, right? Us learning about Rinascita, us learning about the Sentinel, us learning about the Order, Praxidus, right? It was all for the conclusion. It was all for the performance. And if that performance, if the conclusion was terrible, then the whole story was trash. The whole thing was trash. So it's good that they executed the ending perfectly for the story quest. They executed it perfectly. The pacing was good. Not a lot of yapping, right? No yapping whatsoever. And trust me, guys, trust me. When you play through the story quest, you are not gonna feel the need to click the skip button. Unless there are like some parts where like you don't really care, you just skip through it. Nothing wrong with that. But there are like majority of the quests, you're not gonna press the skip button. You're not. You're just not gonna press it because the story quest was just too good. And this is what other games like Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, this is what they failed at when it comes to storytelling. Take out the unnecessary dialogue that nobody gives a fuck about. We don't care what you ate last night. I don't care if you ate cheese pizza. I don't care if you drunk some apple juice. I don't care. Take that shit out. We only want the main story. That's all we want. And sure, you can say, well, if they don't include some unnecessary dialogue, then how can you understand the person's personality? Well, that's the reason why this story is 10 times better, because you were able to understand each character's personality while progressing through the main story. So, for example, Carlotta, I already understand what type of person she is: manipulative, secretive. She's like a closed book. You can't really read her, right? You can't really read her. And I wouldn't say she has like a dark personality, but she has like a very seductive personality. That's what I got from Carlotta, right? And when we look at characters like Brant, you can tell that he really loves the art of performing. He loves the art of performance. He loves like being creative. You have Rochia, who's pretty much a shy little girl. You have Phoebe, who's also a shy girl as well. And you have Zani, who is always locked in, right? She's always doing her job. And she's very like, respectful. I wouldn't say she's strict, but she's very respectful. And yeah, like you can understand every single character's personality when you progress in the story quest. And like I said, you don't need unnecessary dialogue like, oh, what did you eat last night? Did you sleep well last night? No one fucking cares, bro. No one cares. You don't need that shit to understand another person's personality. And Wuthering Waves pretty much proved it. If Genshin Impact's story was very similar to this right here, I promise y'all, a lot of people would not be crying about the skip button. A lot of people would not be crying about it because the story is good. So therefore, why even skip it? You see what I'm saying? So those are my thoughts on the story for Rinascita. If I were to rate it from 1 to 10, 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. One of my biggest pet peeves when it comes to these open world gacha games is the story and how there's so many unnecessary dialogue. But for this quest, this main story quest, I didn't feel the need to press the skip button at all. I didn't feel the need because it was just too good. The pacing was amazing, right? The characters, they stayed on topic. They didn't just, talk about random stuff that doesn't even correlate to the main story. Everybody stayed on topic. Carlotta stayed on topic. She talked about the Montelli family. She even talked about the maiden, right? She talked about the maiden. Also talked about the carnival, her opinions on the carnival. It's like stuff like that. That's what a lot of people want when it comes to story. That's how you should execute a story. That's good storytelling. When characters are actually contributing to the main plot, when characters are actually staying on topic versus a character, let's say let's say Jingy Win, for example, in HSR, where Jingy Win would say a whole bunch of random shit, right? And they expect you to understand what he's saying, but you're like, what is this guy like? What are you even talking about? You see what I'm saying? Like they say all these terms and they expect you to just like understand what they're saying. Lord Arbiter, Lord Ravage, all this bullshit. Like, who asked for that? Just get to the point. You see what I'm saying? And that's what they did for this quest. So overall, absolute cinema. Absolute cinema. This is how you're supposed to execute a story. This is peak storytelling. This is how you're supposed to execute a story in an open world gacha game. So tell me what you guys think in the comment section down below. Once again, me personally, Story Quest, 10 out of 10. Share your thoughts and opinions. I hope you guys had a good one. See you guys on the next one. Peace.